Welcome to Merchandising on Adobe Commerce. Friend, I am really excited to take this walkthrough with you. I am not aware of any other materials out there on the internet that are practical and down-to-earth information on how to get the most value out of Adobe Commerce. Unfortunately, many agencies nowadays or developer teams say, hey, let's build out this feature, let's build out this feature, never considering that so many of these features already exist in Magento. We need to go all the way back to the beginning of the purpose of Magento. Back in 2007, 2008, when the project started as Magento 1, now it's been released as Magento 2, the idea is a very developer-friendly tool set for e-commerce that has expanded, morphed, grown, had its ups and downs through the years. But at the end of the day, Magento Adobe Commerce remains a very powerful e-commerce system, especially if you're on the Commerce Edition, the paid edition. You are going to have a lot of features that will help maximize and make your business processes a lot easier. If you are spending a significant amount of money in e-commerce development costs, what would you think about starting an internal development team at your company? It might seem like this is unfeasible, unworkable, and I understand that. We at SwiftOtter have an internal development team ourselves. We know what it's like. We know how to vet people. We know this platform like the back of our hand, and we can use these talents that we have to help find the perfect people for your team. If they have urgent questions, if they have concerns, if the site goes down, if you need additional resources to pull this project across the finish line, we can help with all of that. It's kind of an interesting value proposition that I have yet to hear of in this industry. Let's chat. This course focuses on how you can get the most out of that. For example, we're going to be talking about how to inject a banner at the top of pages. For example, your phone system is down or you have a Black Friday sale. You just want to generally get people's attention. Well, you could go to a developer and ask them to install a module or ask them to build a module. Well, that functionality is available out of the box in Magento. But here's the caveat. What I tell people is that for the most part, everything in Magento, and I mean everything in Magento, is about 80% of perfection. Now, if it was 100% of perfection, it would be massively overbuilt and potentially unusable. 80%, I believe, captures the greatest share of value across the very wide variety of merchants that are using Adobe Commerce. So I think that was about the sweet spot that they could find. And I think 80% is really a good marker there. Just like I am a very firm believer in this 80-20 rule, we have 80% that is out of the box, and we have another 20% that needs to be customized. Again, for some merchants, some of the ones we've worked with, it's almost flipped the amount of customizations that we've had to do, because they have such unique business processes, like order confirmations and like custom order confirmations, very, very custom pricing models, that sort of thing. So are those cases, but I'm saying for the majority of merchants, and I'm guessing for the majority of you listening or watching, following this series, it's fairly straightforward. Some switcheroos here and there, but for the most part, it's fairly reasonable out of the box. But with this 80-20 rule, usually you can flip it around as well. So that last 20% of the project to say get to 100% of a merchant's requirements usually is flipped around. So that's 80% of the project budget is spent on those additional requirements. So the 80-20, 80% out of the box, 20% to be customized, is usually then flipped around. 80% of the cost to customize and 20% to kind of configure and get the core product set up and going. Thus, if I can help you save resources and developer expense on utilizing what's already there, the great value that you get out of this is you get to see what works. I'm sure we've all heard of these either failed projects or projects that went way over budget and estimate and all this stuff. All these great features were built out, and guess what? They're never used. So instead, do as much as you can, and your job is fairly easy on this. If it comes down to business processes, I'll say that's hard to flesh out. That can be difficult beforehand, and only again once you get into it, you really see what's going on. And so business processes are difficult. But for what you're doing, managing the front end, how this brand interacts with the customers, I tell you what, that's pretty great. And you have a lot of tools at your disposal. And I am going to walk you through every one of those tools to ensure that you get the most value out of Adobe Commerce. Literally, that is absolutely possible. We're going to talk about workarounds. Remember, 80-20, there's a 20% that you're going to have to work around. It's not going to be perfect out of the box. So if you can kind of squeeze your way through that last 20%, you will be in a much, much better position. And ultimately, 6 months down the road, a year down the road, you don't like using this workaround. You've used this workaround 100 times. You're like, okay, I have justification. We're going to pull the trigger and we're going to get this workaround built into a workflow that actually works for me. Fantastic. You just saved yourself a whole bunch of money because you know exactly the feature that you need built, or you can find it on, the Magento Marketplace, etc. This is the type of win I'm hoping that you achieve through this course. My friends, I'm going to help you become the very, very best merchandiser on Adobe Commerce as you follow through this course. Good luck, and we'll see you here at the end.